Okay, everyone, welcome back to the Black Carnivore live stream. I'm really excited to be here tonight, and I was just having a little bit of trouble with my sound setup, so I want to make sure that you can hear me. So, if you are here in the chat, please put a thumbs up in the chat if you can hear what I'm saying. So today, what I want to talk about is four things that I did to lose weight. And I want to, just have a conversation about it because I think that these are some basic things that really can help you get started. And before, we go into that, I want to give you a little bit of background too about why I do this. So, some of you may know that my mother struggled with obesity all of her life, and was morbidly obese for a long time. Diabetic, had high blood pressure, a lot of arthritis, and chronic pain and inflammation. And it was, things were really a struggle for her for a long time. And I tried to get her on keto, but she loved her sugar, and she trusted her doctors who told her to, do low fat, low calorie, more exercise. And that was the approach that she wanted to take. But, of course, it didn't work. And for those of you who are, sugar addicts, you know that trying to moderate how much sugar you have can really, really be hard, if not impossible. So, so she struggled a long time. And I basically grew up watching the women in my life struggle with their health and not be able to achieve as much as they wanted to in life, or not able to enjoy what they had achieved because they were physically, not really able to do the travel, to do, to walk around, to do the shopping and other stuff that they wanted to do. So, so that's why I like to focus on, on this topic, on health and on weight loss and on reversing disease, because I think that is stealing so much life from the women that I know. And, and I hate that. And I don't want it for myself, and I don't want it for anybody else. So, so that's kind of my motivation, my mission, my reason to do all what I do and to talk about all of this. And I think that this, hits home for a lot of you, because there are a lot of us who are struggling in this way. So anyway, I want to dive right in and kind of talk about, what are the top four things to do when you are finally ready to kind of tackle this issue. But let's see who is here. So welcome to April and Rafia, sorry, Pat and Truth. Oh, Frank and Danielle and Rose and Angie. And Miss KD, welcome. Heather, Carla, so awesome to see you. Yes, and Franklin says, don't forget to hit the like button. Thank you. Yes, please hit the like button and subscribe and click the little bell icon so you can get notification every time I go live, so that you don't miss any more live streams or any of my other posts. And, and of course, we want to tell the algorithm that this is good stuff, because it's been hard. I've spent a lot of time trying to get my message out there, and it's not always easy. So thanks a lot, to all of you who are watching, and to, for how much support that you have given me, and, and sharing this message, and just committed to this lifestyle. It really is awesome. Hey, Erica, welcome. So yeah, let's dive in. The four things I did. So one, I think the first thing is to get information. So, I have, over my life, probably done every diet, struggled all, so much of my life with weight. And so, yeah, I've tried all the different diets, and I feel like I finally had to focus on finding the right method. And and I think that when you're in the stage of collecting information, one of the things that people can do is just like continually research without ever getting started. So I should say, get info and take action. Those are two things that you really need to do. But I think that you have to be brave and willing to try something that's a little bit different and a little bit off the beaten track. And, after trying, if you're trying a method and it's not working, um, you at a certain point you need to stop blaming yourself and start examining the method. And so many of us, are told by every authority, every institution, all our doctors, eat less calories and move more and exercise more. But that just doesn't work. And when it's not working, it's not your fault. You are many of us think, oh, I was tempted, or I went out to this restaurant and this good stuff came by and I just didn't have the willpower. But it's like, you shouldn't have to use that level of willpower all the time to be able to stay on track. So if something is requiring that, like there's something wrong with it. Um, Let's see. Heather says, I was excited to watch tonight's live podcast. I need to learn these secrets of yours. Well, you know a lot of the secrets, but yeah, we're going to uncover them tonight. So, and the other thing I think it's important to remember is, so we're told that you need to eat less and move more. And I think that that equation works when you're writing it out on a piece of paper, when you're talking about a box or a machine and you're feeding information in and letting, whatever comes out come out. But when you're talking about the human body, it is a dynamic organism in and of itself, and it changes in response to your environment and the food that you put in, and so what comes out. So this idea that if you can eat less and move more to lose weight, I think is absurd. Your body can also decide, oh, less food is coming in. There must be some kind of major famine. Let me do what I can to make sure that, A survives this famine. And when we come out on the other side, then we'll deal with the results. And so the response of the body often is, when you're eating less, is to slow down your metabolism so you don't need as much. So like that's what ends up happening every time you go on a diet. And so, that diet will work, the first time you ever do it, when you're 18 and you do your first diet, yeah, you drop a ton of weight very quickly. But thereafter, it gets you lose less and less. And so by the time you're over 40, your body has had years of experience and it's like, oh, another one of these. Okay. All right, we're ready. We know what to do. And ramp down the metabolism. And that's not what you want to do, because you can't sustain that. You're talking about now having to eat less and less and less year after year and do more and more and more activity. Um, so it's important to remember that, and to have the right info when you're thinking about it. So once you understand that that is something that happens, then, finding the right way to eat that allows you to not make your metabolism slower, that's what's going to be the key to long-term success. And, I mean, you can not eat for a week. Some people even go as long as 30 or 40 days to lose weight. But, presumably you've got another 30, 40, 50 years of life. Like, that you can't not eat for the next 5 decades. So, even doing a long stretch of fasting isn't going to work. What we're trying to do here is find, a long-term sustainable way of eating that allows us to live our best life. So, so when I say, get good info, you've got to find, the kind of way of eating that's actually going to work for you and to support you. And so when I first stumbled on keto, like I knew about it and I had done it before and I had found it to be helpful. So, or it was the only way I had ever dieted where I wasn't like, starving and constantly thinking about food. So I gave it a try again in 2015. Um, and I was amazed at how, just how wonderful I felt, how much energy, how energetic and great I felt. So that's when, I decided to do more research and really understand why this was working. And, in the beginning, of course, I had my carb withdrawals, my sugar withdrawals. I, really was like dying for that stuff. And, but it was the information that really helped me to stick with it, to understand why a keto, you know, um, like a ketogenic kind of diet was really going to work better than anything that I had tried before. So I don't know if that is you, but maybe it is. Maybe that would be helpful for you. Dig into the science, understand, physiology and why this works. And you should be able to, be able to move forward and be successful. Kim, oh my God, thank you so much for the super chat. I really, really appreciate it. And wow, okay, so your A1C went from 14.8 to 6.6. That is amazing. Oh my God, congratulations. I am so proud of you. That is so awesome. So, this is exactly why, I do this. I can't believe how many people I have seen turn around, their A1C or normalize their glucose in a very short time period. It doesn't take forever for this stuff to happen. It's really, it's really quick. And that's a testament to how much the body wants to be well. If you get out of the way and, stop putting the poison in, like it's going to take care of things really, really quickly. And it's going to take care of the most urgent things first, which not always is weight. So weight loss can be slower, but healing, oh my God, so fast, which is amazing. So Frank says short-term results will get you short-term goals will get you short-term results. Exactly. And but I think when you're young, it's really hard to be like caring about or thinking about 50 years from now. You're just like, whatever, I'm gonna live forever. Yeah. So yeah, when I was younger, I had a lot of short-term goals without really thinking about what the impact was. And each and every time you do a diet and you cut down your calories really low, you are telling your body that, there's some horrible famine going on in the world and it needs to like get through it. And so I didn't realize that every time I was doing that, I was actually slowing my metabolism and making it harder for every time in the future. And when I used to diet, I used to like sort of budget in for chocolate. So for the most part, I wasn't in ketosis, except for the few times that like I specifically did Atkins. So that's really hard. Um, okay, so so Susie says keto was a good healing gateway for me too. That's awesome. Yeah, and Kim, exactly. So take a chance on this new way to feed our bodies. Exactly. And I think that's precisely the point. I don't, I talk about being a carnivore, living a carnivore lifestyle, but, remember, there's no card for being a carnivore. There's no club membership dues or anything like that. You don't get any prize for being more or less carnivore. You do what you need to do to achieve your goals and live in a way that's sustainable for you. And so for some people, that might be being strict for, a few weeks and then going back to keto. For other people, that might be being strict all week and relaxed on the weekends, or maybe being keto on weekends. For some people, that might be being strict in the morning and more relaxed in the evening. It's kind of up to you and what your ultimate goals are. The sicker you are, of course, the stricter you need to be, but that doesn't necessarily mean you have to stay strict for, forever. Again, like I said, our bodies are dynamic, they are healing, and, where you are from one day to the next, will change. So, nothing is set in stone. So do as much as you can, but, be willing to experiment and try something new, because if stuff's not working, it's not working, and it's not working. Um, okay. So Rafia says, that's amazing, Kim. I too started with keto and was really successful. However, carnivore is such a game changer. Yeah, absolutely. So that was number one. So number two, I would say get support. And when I started, like there was no support. There really wasn't a lot out there. And I actually started on Reddit. I don't know if any of you go on Reddit. There's an amazing community there called, well, it's either the Zero Carb sub, or they might have changed their name to the Carnivore sub. But they are an amazing group of people. I'm still friends with some today. They have amazing moderators, and there is just a tremendous amount of knowledge and information there from people who have been doing carnivore, not just years, but decades. So, so that's a great place to read through the posts and also ask questions. And a lot of people, have amazing information. But, reading posts is not the same thing as like interacting with humans. And, when I actually, in June of 2020, or even before then, the pandemic had just started. A lot of us were on Zoom. I mean, all of us in life were using, now using Zoom like exclusively. And it came to me like, gee, instead of like looking at these people on Instagram, like, maybe I can have a real life meeting of Black carnivores. And so I reached out to everybody I could find on Instagram that was, Black and a carnivore, and I invited them to a Zoom. And we had our first one in June. And it was an amazing, amazing experience to kind of to look on this call and see, 30, 35 Black faces, just all like amazed that we were all like eating this way, had all found our ways to this lifestyle without knowing each other. And, it was truly, truly just a unique experience that I don't know that I will ever quite feel that initial wonder again of just like, wow, I am not alone. And and so, everybody just kind of went around, said where they were from and how they got started on carnivore. And it was amazing to hear all these different stories and from all these different people. And, from there on, we continued to have these Zoom calls and to support one another, and new people would show up and just be like, I'm just getting started, I'm having this trouble, and we were able to troubleshoot for people and get them going. And and I don't know that I mean, I think, or I like to think that my existence in this space has helped to spread this way of eating and to help other people, take the plunge and be willing to give it a try. And so, for that, I hope that I am making an impact on people and helping, more and more people um, to live better lives and to be healthier and stronger and, live their best life. So, I say get support, and don't let it just be a post. I wish if there were a Facebook group, if there were like a challenge, a 21-day challenge, I totally would have done that in the beginning, because that really would have helped me to be more successful. And it definitely took me longer to get, where I needed to be than it had to. So, so I do have a 21-day carnivore challenge. So you can go to blackcarnivore.com/challenge and sign up there. The next one starts March 1st. And so, well, this is the last weekend before, so you definitely want to, head over there and sign up so that you have the weekend to get yourself situated and buy your groceries and all that kind of stuff. So, definitely do that. But like I said, like we live in a world that is so designed for eating sugar and eating processed foods, and we are expected to do it from the moment we wake up until the moment we go to bed. And so, if you don't have, a group of like-minded people to remind you that that is a really unhealthy way to eat, um, it's really hard to stick with our way of eating. And in the beginning, I mean, God, I used to hide this. I was dating this guy, and I told him I was just doing this experiment. And, many months later, he was like, "Man, how long is this experiment? You've been, doing this a long time." And in my head, I'm like, "Yeah, it's not an experiment. I'm doing this forever." But I was like, "Oh, you got to collect data." And I was just too I embarrassed to say what I was doing or to commit to the lifestyle. And I think that it took me a long time to like get comfortable with it. But I think, you just kind of have to. And you have to remember I mean, I remind myself and I remind other people, like, first of all, once you're over 18, it's nobody's business what you put in your mouth, period. And secondly, you don't have to argue with people. Like, they can state their opinion. Wow, that is the second time in this week that I've heard that song blasting through the radio. And it's like 40 years old. I don't know why it's so popular now. But anyway, I think that you don't have to engage with people when they make comments about your food. It's none of their business. So they can state their opinion and then, you can walk away. Like, no, no discussion has to happen. Like, an argument takes two people. So, so I've kind of learned that. And also I like, certainly when vegans come at me, I kind of deal with the same because, my goal is to educate and share and support people who are interested in this lifestyle. And, it's not a cult. So if you don't want to be here, you can leave, like, or you can come back. It's, up to you. But there's no need for argument, and there's, all kinds of people in the world. So plenty of people to, continue to have this discussion. Or plenty of other people who would be interested in having that argument. So I don't, I don't want to do it. Hey, Leonard, welcome. I'm so glad you are here. And Country Girl, welcome. Okay, so Country Girl, you're new to my channel. You started Carnivore a week ago today. Awesome. And it's going good so far. You've noticed you have a little more energy and you're excited for the healing. So awesome. Amazing. The energy was like the first thing. So for me, the first things I noticed were the energy and then the brain clarity and the less depression. I mean, I wasn't ever like diagnosed clinically depressed, but when you're exhausted in pain and not thinking clearly, like, of course, like your whole world outlook is going to be pretty grim. So, all of that lifted, and I suddenly was like walking around and spending the day thinking, oh, I feel fine. I don't feel bad. I feel fine. I feel good, and like that was a new feeling for me. Okay, Steve, Global Traveler, thank you so, so much for the super chat. I really appreciate it. All of the super chats and the stickers that you get really help to support this channel and help me to be able to bring this message to you. I love to share, to educate, to motivate, and encourage you all. So, whenever you can give, that is really, really awesome. And Steve says, I was told by my doctor to get ready for dialysis. And after 2 months of fasting and carnivore, my CKD has reversed. Our community really needs to work on our health, which we can fully control. Thanks. That is amazing. Wow. All of these amazing stories here. So again, congratulations. That is awesome. And you're exactly right. Like, none of this stuff has to happen. This is, these are, diseases and things that occur because of the food that we're eating and the lifestyles that we're living. And, it just doesn't have to be. And that's what's so frustrating is that we're getting, we're being marketed to, at a very young age. We're being told by, people in positions of authority that this is the way that we need to eat. We need all of these processed foods, that they are, nutritionally complete, or they're fortified to make them nutritionally complete, because they're not nutritionally complete by their nature. And so we think that this is what we need to do, and in fact, these foods are harming us every single time that we eat them. And removing them in short periods of time can reverse these problems if you haven't yet caused so much damage that, it's no longer reversible. But, a lot of this stuff, you can make great progress. So I am really glad that you were able to save your kidneys, because that's a big deal. Being on dialysis is a really big deal. So I'm very proud of you. Hero Fix TV, thank you so much. Yes, I'm happy to do this work. Very happy to. Okay, so Bryant Pearson says, I went from 310 pounds to my lowest of 148 on the carnivore diet and fasting. Wow. I kept it off for 2 years and had surgery on my rotator cuff and got off the diet. And now at 200 pounds, I'm getting back on. Okay, that's awesome. Well, so things happen, life happens. I actually often worry or think about like how I would handle it in the hospital. Like if they decided like I need to go on a glucose drip or, if I have surgery, like how I handle that. And the other times that I've had surgery in the past, when they wake you up in the recovery room, I always remember being handed like a cranberry juice, and so I mean, I've fortunately not had any serious illness since going carnivore. But I often wonder, when you have these kinds of major illnesses where you really have to be part of the medical industry for a while, like what does that mean? What does that look like? What happens? So, but Brian, I'm glad you are back, and our bodies again are resilient; they heal, and I'm sure that you will be able to get back to to where you want to be. So, tell us more about how you did carnivore and fasting. Were you a person that did OMAD, or did you do 2 meals a day? Did you fast for multiple days? I'd love to hear more about that. Yeah. Okay. So, uh, yeah, Brian, I understand, but but you'll get where you want to be, soon enough. Do think it's important to feel confident and comfortable where you are, because the journey is a long one. Weight loss is absolutely a marathon. It is not a sprint, and it takes time. So you just gotta get comfortable and happy with where you are, and you'll get to where you want to go. Okay, Bryant did OMAD and rolling 72s. So I don't know if you all are familiar, but rolling 72s is where you fast for 72 hours, then you have, a meal, and then you go right back into fasting another 72 hours, and then you have a meal. And, people do this as long as they can, and then they, kind of go back to doing OMAD or just eating regular for a bit, and then, take a break and go back to it. That's a pretty aggressive fasting schedule, but if you're not triggered by fasting, or if you don't find fasting to be particularly difficult, that's definitely something to do. Some people do rolling 48s, or alternate day fasting. Those are, all variations. Um, okay, yeah, Bryant. So, yep, I'm here for you. Um, okay, so number three is get simple. So number three of the four things to do to that I did to lose weight is I got simple. So there was a time when I was on Pinterest all the time. So this was before Instagram, and or before Instagram got big anyway. I don't know when Instagram started, but I would go on Pinterest and I would roll through and I would look at food and stuff. And because when I first started, well, let's say in 2015, when I first started low carb, nobody was using the word keto. It was just low carb. And, I mean, people were doing it, but it wasn't, as ubiquitous as it is today. And I didn't really know what to eat or how to eat, learning about counting carbs and stuff like that. Like, this was all sort of, kind of new to me, because every time I had done like Atkins in the past, I didn't really count carbs. I just only ate vegetables and, well, vegetables and alcohol. So I only ate that, and that was, me like doing, low carb. And and often I would have ketones by the late afternoon. I'd use the little urine strips and I could see that I was in ketosis. And and sort of, according to the science of it, most people can be in ketosis eating up to 50 grams of carbs a day. If you're very, very active, you might be able to eat up to 80, grams of carbs a day and still be in ketosis. So, so that was kind of the measure I had, and I kind of maintained my weight for a while that way. But starting in 2015, I was being more deliberate and focused about it and counting carbs and stuff like that. And so I was looking at a lot of stuff on Pinterest, and so I started sort of making these elaborate things. But that level of focus on food, I think, ended up stoking my appetite and how much I ate, because I've definitely read that some studies that say newness kind of reignites your appetite. So that is to say, if you only had one thing to eat, like if there was one steak and there was nothing else, you would eat it and then you would stop when you felt full. But if you added a new thing, you would have a little appetite to eat more because there's a new taste. Um, so, whereas if somebody brought out another steak, you wouldn't eat any more of it. You've eaten it enough. And so I found that the more things I tried and the more complicated and or elaborate and flavorful these things were, it tended to make me, just eat more and not like pay attention to my appetite. So I think it is, that can be helpful. I mean, it can be fun to try these things, try new things from time to time. But I would say, not every day needs to be this like incredible, lavish, creative, meal. You can just be simple. And also, the simpler you are, the easier it is to do. Many of us have, one job, maybe two jobs, family to take care of, lots of commitments. I had a lot of community events, so and things that I did after work. So I left work at 6, but I never got home before 10. So if I had to do, and I made this decision, like I needed to have food ready so that it would never take me more than like 4 minutes of microwaving to actually have my meal prepared. So I did a lot of like cooking big, portions of food on the weekend so that I would have that all week. And so that for me made it super easy to just make everything super simple, so that I didn't have to wait for food or, I mean, I just didn't want to deal with it. So I recommend that. And honestly, if I were to start keto now, I don't think I ever would have made it far, because now there are so many keto products and everything is labeled keto at the grocery store. And there are so many, keto cakes and keto cookies and biscuits and breads and all this stuff. I absolutely, it would be a mess. I would not have been able to do it. And one of the things that really appealed to about carnivore, even before I tried it, was, just how simple and easy it was. I didn't have to count calories. I didn't have to count portion sizes. I didn't have to count carbs. I didn't have to count anything, and I could just eat what I wanted. I generally keep track of, the total amount, because I want to know, when I go to the grocery store, how much meat do I need in a week, but or how much meat do I need to cook, per day to feel satisfied. But other than that, like I don't really want to have to, pay attention to what I'm eating. And so carnivore is the only way of eating that I have found that allows for that. And when you're eating carbs, like you really have to pay attention to how much you're having and artificially control it outside of your appetite, because your appetite is never going to tell you that you've run out of sugar, like, or that you've run out of room for more sugar. Like there's an endless capacity or nearly endless capacity for sugar. And and that's why it's so hard. But there is not an endless capacity for protein and fat. And so, I'm sure you all know, like, I have made amazing steaks where I just can't finish, and I'm just not gonna be able to finish. So so that is the beauty of the carnivore way of eating. Okay, so Tracy says, any advice on us keeping it simple because there's so much info out there? Yeah. So that is a great point, and that's not to do with food, but like there is so much information out there, and much of it conflicting, and different people providing their different approaches, and yeah, and that's really hard. So what I would say is, one, when I stopped listening to everybody and decided to listen to my body, that's when carnivore started to work for me. Because in the beginning, like, I was listening to Paul Saladino and all of these other people saying, "Oh, you've got to get, you've got to make sure I don't know, your methionine is at this level, and you have to make sure you have this amount of liver every day because you need this, and you have to make sure you get." Your bone powder and because you need that mineral, and like all of that, it just doesn't work. Like, it may be true in theory, but like it does not help you to practice a carnivore lifestyle to be worried about whether you're getting this or that nutrient. And it really helped me to start listening to my body. And so many of us, like all of our lives, we have been taught to listen to authority. I mean, even like the public school system is designed to teach people how to sit still for a long period of time and do one thing, and so that we could go on and work in factories. So we are conditioned to listen to authority, not listen to ourselves, not listen to our natural rhythms, and just follow what we're told to do. And I think, we've taken that to the nth degree, and we've stopped listening to our own bodies. But our bodies talk to us all the time and tell us, yes, this was good, no, this was bad, don't do that again. I need more of this, but we don't listen to it. So, but what's awesome about carnivore is it takes out all the noise, and sugar creates a lot of noise, so it makes it really hard to like hear what your body is saying. But once you take it out, your body speaks loud and clear. And so it's really easy to get the signals and just, follow them. And so when you stop worrying about what someone says about how much of this or that you're supposed to have, you you can really connect with what your body says. And so there will be times, I promise you, there will be times that you do want to have liver, but it's not something that you have to eat every day. There's no prescribed amount that you must eat. And when your body gives you a craving to have it, that's the time that you need to have it, and then you can stop. You don't need to keep having it. And I think that's really an important point to pay attention to. And there's also this idea that you have honey, that it's a carnivore food, regardless of whether it is an animal product, which you can argue it's not. It is a problem for people with metabolic syndrome, with insulin resistance, with diabetes or prediabetes. It's not going to help you achieve your goals. But I think that there are some people in this community that are speaking to the small percentage of Americans who are not obese, insulin resistant, pre-diabetic, or diabetic. And that is a small percentage of this country. By far, most of us have some level of insulin resistance. And so for that population, adding fruit and honey is not going to, is not going to work for the largest portion of the population. So I'm speaking to people who are sick. Everybody here, you've come because you had something going wrong and you were looking for a solution. And I think you have to decide, for yourself, like, why are you here? If you're 19 and you feel great, I don't know, maybe you don't need to be here. Like, maybe whatever you're doing is fine. But, as you've gotten older and sicker, that's really going to determine for you. And I feel like there's some people out there who have, they've never been obese, they've never really struggled with it, with ill health. And so, I don't know, their advice is not really speaking to your needs. And so I think you have to think about, the person who is speaking to you, what their interests are, what they're doing, and whether that matches up and aligns with yours. So, that's not to, so I'm not saying that. I think there are a lot of people out there who have great advice, and people are speaking from their own personal life experience, and I think it helps to find the person that's speaking to your, particular experience, and just decide to follow one path for the moment. But when you try to follow like four paths at one time, that's when nothing works. So I hope that helps to clarify that question. I mean, yes, there's just a lot of conflicting information out there, and you got to take what everybody says with a grain of salt. And the first person that you should listen to is your body, because that is, no equation, nothing that, my fitness pal spits back is ever going to speak to exactly what's happening in your body. Your body knows exactly what it needs, and your job is to interpret, what your body is telling you. But if you aren't feeling good, then something is going wrong, and, then you got to figure out what. Okay. Steve says, yep, amazingly simple lifestyle. Um, Susie says a lot of keto processed products are really junky. Best to avoid them if possible. Totally. Kim says, yes, keto has too many options. It's easy to get out of control with all those net carbs. This is why I started carnivore, eat meat. Yeah, totally. Absolutely. Um, and yeah, everyone agrees with you, Kim. Tracy says, yes, Nutrition with Judy had a guy on talking about salt will make you fat. Thank you for your commitment to educate us. Yeah, salt. So salt is one of those things too. So most people do better having more, but there are some people who do better having less. And there are plenty of carnivores who add none. All of those are an acceptable path, and you just kind of have to pay attention to how you feel. And so, and that's again another one of those things where you can't just assume that, one way is the only way. But Judy has come around to wanting to use, well, no electrolytes and maybe less and less salt. And, remember again, your body is a dynamic system, and so it can deal with less salt by changing the way it deals with water in your body. But that's a little bit more complicated. But if you feel like you are good with where you are with salt and electrolytes, stick with it. If you feel like you're not good, then let's talk. And and definitely, yeah, let's find a way for you to feel more comfortable. Um, Bryant had, you like gizzards in the air fryer. Good, exactly. And there's also people who are saying like you shouldn't have liver, and I don't know. I mean, I kind of feel like people have grown up on liver. People, humans have eaten liver for, hundreds of thousands of years. So, it's not a bad thing. It's just, this idea that you have to have so much of it every day, or every week, week in, week out. And I think if you're sick, that's probably the time you want to have liver. But once you have recovered, you don't have a need for it. Okay, Kim says, yeah, all that keto stuff can be a slippery slope. Susie loves gizzards too, and bison heart, awesome. And you're afraid to try honey, don't try it, don't do it. Um, And yeah, so few of us are metabolically healthy enough in this country. Yeah. And Steve says the air fryer is your new best friend. It is absolutely my best friend. And may I recommend? So I do have on my website, blackcarnivore.com, I'm giving away a 3-day meal plan that is air fryer only recipes. And so go and download it for free. That's a great resource. I use my air fryer constantly, and I love it. And that is my way for having like super super easy meals. So definitely do that. Um, Okay, Tova says exactly, and I think the bulk of that population that are sick with diabetes, high blood pressure, etc., metabolic disorders are Black and Brown communities. Absolutely, and this was something I was actually talking to Dr. Tony Hampton about this. That because we've been kind of having this on and off again conversation about whether Black people are uniquely negatively affected by carbohydrates. Because when you look at, the diabetic community, even when you normalize for income, Black and Brown people still have higher rates of amputations in the diabetic community. So, it's not about money. It's still, it's when all things are equal, there's still a greater level of amputations. And so I kind of asked him, like, is there any research? Like, do we know, is there some reason why Black people are more negatively affected by sugar? And so this is an ongoing discussion with us. No, there isn't, particularly research. There are there was some research that he found about mitochondria and burning energy that was intriguing. So we are supposed to, have a conversation about it at some point. But I think, that might be at the core of it, which is why, we need to spread this message of, we got to get off sugar and we got to get off carbs or processed carbs. I think some people can do like a clean keto, which I call, carnivore, that's in the carnivore, realm. But if you are having some vegetables and, no grains and no sugars and staying even off of the artificial sweeteners, I think that that can be fine for some people. But it's the processed keto products now that I think really are a challenge for people. So yeah, Johnny G, thank you. I appreciate that. And Franklin, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. This is really awesome. I'm so glad that you're all enjoying this conversation, and yeah, I love it. Let's see. Anna says, finally, I get to come in from work. Welcome, Anna. It's so good to hear you back. I hope the new job is treating you well and that you will rejoin us again on the chat. In the challenge. It's wonderful. So many of you who are here tonight have been in the challenge and make it an incredible, warm, and loving community, and and full of support. And this is one of the things too that I love about our community. I see other communities, refugees from other communities that are, really dogmatic, sometimes frankly outright racist, sometimes just very cruel to one another. And I definitely am not interested in building that kind of community. I don't think any of those things are helpful to people to move forward. And and honestly, like I said, I'm not a card carrying carnivore. There is no membership, no membership dues. Like I don't get a prize. I am not Miss Carnivore. Like nothing, there's no benefit to being more carnivore. So I think that, I really want people to be focused not on the name or, how it's defined or how they think it's defined, but on the way to do it that's going to bring them the maximum amount of health benefits and ease and sustainability. And only you know what that is. And that can also change and evolve through your lifetime. So it is something that's constantly going to be evolving. So, so I think that if you are a person that, you make your beef stew and you got to put some, red peppers in it, like, have at it. Like, that doesn't make you not carnivore. I would encourage you not to post pictures of the birthday cake that you decided to have, your once a year, but tell us, let us know that you did that and how you felt after and, what you're going to do after. Um, I think that helping us all to, figure out how to deal with the regular parts of life, that's what, these communities are supposed to be for. We do have birthdays, we do have special celebrations, we do have times that we fall off track. And the question is, are you going to spend 3 more weeks like continuing to throw yourself off the wagon? Or are you going to say, okay, I did that once and I'm going to dust myself off and then I'm going to get back on the wagon and keep going and feeling great? And so a supportive community can get you there. But that you need to have the right community. So, so again, going back to get yourself support, find the right group of people, come hang out with us, join the 21-day challenge. That will really help you to, to go forward. So stop struggling and, start succeeding with a group. Okay, let's see. Bryant says, Black people in particular need this channel. We are very unhealthy as a people. How do we get the carnivore word out there to that population? Oh my gosh. I don't know, I am trying. I want to start speaking more to, the illnesses and hoping that that will help people feel more comfortable coming in. If you look at my YouTube channel, I made a playlist for sugar addiction, a playlist for diabetes, so that people can hear the testimony of people who've had success on this way of eating, reversing disease. So, hopefully that will help them feel more comfortable considering, giving this a try. And if you have had success and you have not yet come on the Black Carnivore podcast, come, let me interview you. Like I continue want to tell our stories, and you do not have to be at your goal weight. We like the last interview that I did, the woman that I interviewed, she had lost, I think, 70 or 80 pounds by the time I talked to her, but, had a lot more to go. But she had brought her A1C down from 10 to 5. And, and that's huge. Like, that is amazing, amazing progress. So don't feel like you have to be there. Like, I think it is as inspiring to see someone who's finished as it is to see someone who's a few steps ahead of you. And so you need to see that person who is on their way, but the way is working for them. So if that is you, come contact me. You can email me at @blackcarnivore.com, or you can, DM me on Instagram. Those are the best ways to get in contact with me. Or even find me on Facebook, Ade Fox, EDEFOX. So yeah, tell your story. And so I started having a conversation with another woman in this space, and so I threw out the idea that we start I don't know, like Black women and low carb, um, I don't know, some kind of nonprofit or something, so that we can begin to raise awareness about eating a low carb, sugar free lifestyle in the Black community. And, I don't know what exactly that would look like or what that would be, but we're going to continue to have the conversation. We even considered whether we might do like a virtual summit towards the end of the year, and then into next year, consider having like an actual in real life tour where, we have other, leaders or doctors who, are doing this with their patients and in their own lives, to kind of tour some of the cities and kind of bring this message. So, and I think, and I really like to make it clear to people, like, carnivore I think it's the best way, but it is certainly not the only way. And in fact, I lost all of my weight on keto. I started carnivore when I had already reached my goals. So it's not the only way. You don't have to do it. It's just a way. And if you are a person who likes meat and doesn't like cooking and wants things to be super simple, this is a great way. But I think that out there, what I dislike, when I hear other, leaders and authorities speaking about diet, is that, there's this notion that there's one way and only one healthy way to do this. And I just don't think that's true. I think there's, a range of things that we can do. Okay. Hey, Jay Ray, welcome. I'm so glad you are here. Country Girl asked, "Do I have to get electrolytes? If so, what's the best brand?" Um, you can just start by liberally salting your food. If that's not enough, you can add electrolytes. There's an array of brands now, on like on Amazon, and I have an Amazon store. If you go there, if you go on Instagram, there's a link in my bio, and I think at the bottom of that, there's a link that will take you to my Amazon store. But I have a couple of different electrolytes there that I like. Um, so one limit is one. It's LMNT by Rob Wolf. Um, Make sure that you get not sweetened with stevia, the plain one that has no sweetener in it. That one is really expensive, but a lot of people really like it. Keto Chow is another one that people use that you can get on Amazon as well. And and that's unsweetened and is a fine choice. So just you got to try and see. They all have varying different formulas, so you just got to see what works for you. I think Redmond's salt, also that company also makes an electrolyte mix, but just make sure you get one that's unsweetened, that does not have stevia in it, and go from there. If you're having a lot of cramping at night in your legs and stuff, you can get magnesium oil, which, typically that is the problem for people. And magnesium can be absorbed through the skin, so you can just spray it right onto your legs, and that can help too. Anna says, I love ox heart slowly stewed with brisket, and I often take the meat after it's cooked and crisp pieces of it in the air fryer. Yum. Okay, that sounds good. Um, awesome. Steve, oh my God, thank you so much for the super chat. Wow, $99.99. That is amazing. Thank you so much. That really is so generous of you. I really appreciate that. And I'm so glad you guys are finding this information really helpful tonight. I really wanted to do something that would be, game changing for people, because I really want people to, give this way of eating a try. And I know that, part of the reason why I urge it so much too in the beginning is that I know it only takes 3 weeks for you to feel amazing. And then you can fall off again, but you're always going to think about, oh man, that 3 weeks, I felt so good. And so it's always going to be in the back of your head, like, man, I would like to get back to feeling that way. So that, is why I push so hard to get you going in this 21-day challenge, or just get you going on the lifestyle, because you just got to do it, and do it strictly for a short period, and magical things start happening. So thank you so much, Steve. Okay, Terry says, I'm thinking about doing the March challenge, beginning to think I need a support system. Yes, yes, you do need a support system, because the sugar out there is deep. Um, yeah, Heather, yeah, shout out to Steve. Um, thank you. Anna, okay, awesome. You're going to be in the challenge too. I'm so glad. So Bryant, yeah, the challenge begins March 1st, so I think that's next Tuesday. So you want to make sure you sign up tonight, so that you can make sure you get the shopping list and everything, and so you can prep yourself for this for over the weekend. I know, a lot of us like to start on a Monday, so it's a little weird starting on a Tuesday, but it's better it's easier when we start on the first. Um, so, Oh, okay, Brian, you were asking what is the March challenge. So I do a 21-day carnivore challenge, and basically, I give you a meal plan, some workouts, a grocery shopping list, and one accountability call. So sometime during that 3 weeks, I talk to you about what your goals are and kind of help you to figure out, any specifics that you need while following the carnivore diet. And I do a weekly live stream where I answer questions and kind of, try to encourage you and talk you through things. And then I also I don't know. There's something else, but you also get the Facebook group. So it's different from the Black Carnivore Facebook group, and you get a lot of, just support and encouragement there. I try to post like informational. Well, I give you some guidance posts on following the carnivore diet, plus, some guidance about how to kind of deal with the challenging things in our lives. One of the things that I find is most difficult for people is just kind of dealing with, um, sort of dealing with, triggers and temptations and family and stuff like that. And so, trying to give you guidance and support around that. And I think that, it's been pretty amazing to see the successes that people have. And actually, what's been most exciting and interesting to see is, the people who are like bringing their blood pressure down to normal, reversing, diabetes, just feeling so much better, and looking better. You can also see the weight loss. So it's really exciting to see this really turn people's lives around. So I encourage you to join. Go to blackcarnivore.com/challenge, and you can join there. Um, Nakengi, thank you so much for the super sticker. I really appreciate it. Let's see, the Shiba dog is holding a golden trophy, and that's amazing. Thank you so much. Um, let's see. Okay. All right, awesome. I'm so glad that you guys are going to be there. Rafia says, Terry, the challenge is great. I started in November and I've lost 32 pounds, but gained a whole new community. Yeah, that is so awesome. So, yeah, and I do encourage you to keep going with it. One time, unfortunately, the world pushes back so hard with the sugar, carb message. And so I do see people who work with me for a while and they really get carnivore on the belt, under their belt. They're getting good at it. It starts to become habit. And then, they decide to go on their own. And unfortunately, a lot of times during that time, they kind of fall off the bandwagon. There's a birthday, there's a trip, or something happens. And, the next thing they know, it's like 2 months later, they've regained some weight. They haven't been following carnivore. So unfortunately, I think that we need like constant support because, for a much longer period of time in order to really stay committed to eating this way, on our own. So yeah, coming back and doing the challenge, monthly is really helping a lot of people make real strides that they had never been able to make before in their health. One of the clients that I worked with sent me, so right before Christmas, she had to go, well, she was going back to spend time with family, and she sent me a picture. She was so excited. Like this was the biggest thing that happened. That was, the biggest victory for her was that she fit into the airplane seat and did not need a seatbelt extender. So she sent me a picture of her lap, like, and at first I was like, what is this? But it was like, oh, not needing a seatbelt extender is amazing. That is huge. For some people, like that, that was everything. So, so those are the kinds of things that can happen. And it's, and also when you lose weight on carnivore, it takes longer on the scale. it doesn't take longer in real life. The fat is coming off, but you're not losing muscle and other stuff. And so you might see a lot of body recomposition before you see a lot of weight loss on the scale. But I say to that, who cares? Nobody knows what number is on the scale, but everybody can see exactly how tight your pants are. And when you're busting out of your pants, like that's not a good look. So who cares what the scale says? Um, okay, so Juan says a virtual summit, that would be amazing. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm hopeful that we'll get it together. Yeah. Okay, so T Malice says limit and like products makes my blood pressure soar. Okay, so yeah, like I was saying, there are certain people for whom having more electrolytes or more salt is not helpful. And I think that's a smaller portion of the, sort of low carb ketogenic world, but it's not nothing. So some of those people, really do better with less salt. And some people, like I said, there's a fair amount of the long-term carnivores who have no salt at all. So it's not, it really is kind of varies. And if you're finding that you're having trouble keeping your blood pressure low, or you're getting bloated with salt, it may be that you need to, dial it back a little bit. Susie likes Redmond's Relight unflavored electrolytes. Awesome. Yeah. And Terry asks which magnesium spray is suggested. So there's one that I have in my Amazon store. It's $12 for the bottle, so it's not expensive. I don't know that there's any particular brand that is better than any other. And you can even make it yourself. So there's a couple of websites. I'm sure if you Google magnesium spray, you can find that. So, so that's something to consider. Uh, Kim, thank you. Yes, like, subscribe, and share. Definitely. Awesome. So Steve says, you're welcome. I used to spend $100 a month on blood pressure medication, so this is a better use of money. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think back to how much money I used to spend on Flonase and Claritin and Benadryl. My allergies were just totally out of control even when I was on keto, they were not in control. So I think about how much money I spent on all of these over-the-counter products, and I used to take Benadryl around the clock, around the clock. And, all of you have taken Benadryl, I'm sure, at one point in time or another. You know how whacked out and sleepy that makes you. And I had to take it around the clock along with Flonase and Claritin in order to be, to control my allergies. So that was huge, huge for me. And there's plenty of medications that are incredibly expensive out there. So it makes a big difference to be able to come off of our medications. Awesome, Rose, you're going to join the challenge. Wonderful. Um, Wonderful. Jay, you got your A1C to 2.6. I don't know what the numbers are supposed to be. That seems low, but I don't know. um, Awesome. Oh, 4.6. Wow. Okay, so 4.6 makes more sense, but wow, that is really amazing. Your doctors must have been like, "What? This is this must be some kind of typo or mistake." Okay. Um, Nakengi, I'm so glad that you made it to a live. So welcome. I'm glad you are here. Um, okay, let's see. So Bryant, yes, the official way to join the challenge, go to blackcarnivore.com/challenge and you can join there. And there's also, yeah, a link in my Instagram. So Mandel, I don't know a lot about iodine, but I know there are some people in the Black Carnivore community that have, taken it with some success. It's not I did, at the time in the early days when I was still listening to all the people saying, you must have this, you must have that, I did buy a bottle of iodine. And then I was like, man, this stuff stains my skin orange. Is it going to do that to my teeth too? So then I never started taking it. Um, yeah. And Lala for real says, what about digestive enzymes? So digestive enzymes can be helpful for some people, but not everybody needs it. And so I have a video, if you go to my channel, my YouTube channel, I have a playlist called Start Here. And I think the second video in it is called Common Problems, Common Solutions. And I kind of walk through some of the common problems that people have on carnivore and what you would do. And so, digestive upset, of course, is one of the common problems. And I find that eating smaller meals, more but smaller meals, um, using more salt on your food, and not drinking before, during, or especially after your meal solves a lot of problems. And if that doesn't work, then it may be helpful to add, some digestive enzymes or HCl, hydrochloric acid. Then it might be helpful. But like connect with me because you may need some coaching to help you kind of sort that out. But yeah, so just let me know. So Terry says, yeah, so the link to the challenge is blackcarnivore.com/challenge. And the Amazon store name is Black Carnivore. I always have a hard time finding stores in Amazon, but that's the name of it. And I think there's a link in Instagram in my bio. There's a link tree, and I think at the bottom of that, there's a link to my Amazon store. Um, okay, so Mandel, you bought Sudafed every time you were near a drugstore. Yeah, totally. I completely forgot about that. I used to walk with Sudafed all the time. And then I remember I was out in Arizona, like I guess this was in the early 2000s. And I guess this was right about the time that like meth was really becoming a thing. And I didn't know that, meth was something, or Sudafed was an ingredient that was needed to make meth. And so the drugstores out there started prohibiting you from buying a lot of it, and you had to go to the pharmacy and show ID, and it was like a whole big thing. And I was like, when I first discovered this, I was like, what is the deal? Like, I have allergies. Like, I just need to clear my nose. Why can't I buy some Sudafed? And so for a time, it was kind of hard to get Sudafed. But thankfully that ended. But yeah, I used to take that stuff all the time. I, had all of these things all the time. Yeah, and Benadryl kept Heather loopy for days. Totally. Yeah. Um, so Lala for real says I started carnivore a little over a week ago, jumped right in full force and lost 10 pounds. You're ready to be well and feel good again. Awesome. I'm so brava. So proud of you. So glad that you have done this and saw such success. 10 pounds lost is amazing. And you just keep going. And, the other thing that I say this over and over again, and I'm going to publish a video, I think on Sunday, where I talk about this at length, but take pictures. You can't really see the weight loss on the scale. And you, even taking measurements, I mean, that can be helpful, but take pictures because you're never going to remember what you looked like even yesterday, let alone 3 weeks ago. So you need that to be able to see your progress. So take pictures. Um, so T Malice says I did the iodine test where you paint it on your arm and you pass. So no iodine was needed. If it disappears in an hour, you need iodine. Okay, I guess I'll try that. I don't know. Susie says not drinking water right before, during, or after meals really helped me. Yeah, totally, totally. And I find like I still have a problem with that because sometimes, if I don't hydrate, during the day, and if I'm not eating, I'm often not thinking about drinking. So I get to the meal and I'm like, oh, I'm thirsty, and I start chugging, and then I'm eating a high fat meal and it can upset my stomach. So I too still follow this rule of like not drinking, right before, during, or after a meal, and kind of letting the food run through before I start drinking a whole lot. Um, and Mandel says mealtime proximity to sleep is a thing. Totally. So I have no problem. I can like eat a huge meal, lay down, go to sleep, and have no problems. But other people, like it can totally disrupt your sleep. It can be either, can cause, people to go to the bathroom or have heartburn or, just various things, or it can just disrupt the restorative powers of sleep. So, if you feel like you might be that person, then definitely you kind of want to finish your meal like by the time it gets dark so that, when you go to bed, you're going to bed sort of on an empty-ish stomach. Okay. And I still have breathes. I'm not sure what you're saying, Mandel. Okay, Brian, you got to go. You have a conference call, as do I. I'm going to have to go too. I am so glad that this was amazing and that this really helped you. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Oh my God. And finally, the fourth thing I talked all this time. So the fourth thing I did was to get active. Now, I'm not saying you got to go to the gym and, like work really hard or take all these classes or do anything like that. Just get movement in. And I think that as soon as you start to feel better and you start to, get some healing in, your body is going to urge you to start moving. But that doesn't mean, doing any formal workout. It could just mean, like for me, I would just kind of get this urge, let me get off the subway a couple of stops earlier and just kind of walk home. I feel like I want to stretch my legs. Like that's what I mean, park further away and walk to the store. Whatever gives you a greater opportunity to move. That's the kind of thing you do. So don't, it doesn't have to be huge. And over time, it may become huge. You may be one of those gym rats that's like, deadlifting 200 pounds, but it don't start there. That is what gets people discouraged. So just start by, moving a little bit more. You might have been that person who like settles down on the couch in front of the TV and then you don't move for 2 hours. But, once you start this, you may like every commercial get up and have the desire to pace a little. That's movement. All of that is movement. So just allow yourself to move more and that'll help. Okay. So Susie, I'm so glad you enjoyed this. Rose, your best measure is clothes. You've been fasting lately and trying to keep your carbs low, and you just tried on a pair of jeans and a top that didn't fit you when it bought last year, but it fits great now. Awesome. Isn't that awesome when you can go shopping in your closet? So fantastic. Um, oh, I'm so glad this was your first live. Thank you. All right. Um, Mandel, deadlifting 200 pounds is just your day job. That's awesome. Okay, everybody. So I had a great time tonight. I loved this conversation. I hope that this was really helpful for you, and I encourage you to, share this, this broadcast far and wide. And I look forward to seeing you in the challenge or here next week. Next Thursday, Arian will be back with us. And yeah, have a great week, and I'll see you all soon. All right, bye bye.